Welcome to our podcast. Signs someone likes you but is too afraid to say it. You ever wonder if someone likes you but just won't say it? Maybe they're too shy. Maybe they're scared of rejection. Or maybe, just maybe, they're waiting for you to figure it out first. People aren't always obvious when it comes to feelings. Some wear their emotions like a flashing neon sign, but others, they hide it, whether out of fear, pride, or just plain confusion. And that's what makes it tricky. Because sometimes the signs aren't loud, they're quiet. They slip into the spaces between words, into the things left unsaid, into the smallest details that most people overlook. But if you know what to look for, if you really pay attention, you might see them. And once you do, you won't be able to unsee them. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about those signs. The ones that whisper instead of shout. The ones that hide in the way someone looks at you, talks to you, or even avoids you. It's the way their energy shifts when you enter the room. Maybe they were laughing with friends, completely at ease, but the moment you walk in, something changes. They get a little quieter, a little more self-conscious. It's not that they're ignoring you. No, it's the opposite. They're too aware of you. It's like their brain suddenly goes into overdrive, calculating every move, every word, every glance, because suddenly it matters. And then there's the eye contact, or the almost eye contact. You catch them looking at you, but the second you turn, they look away, fast, too fast. Like they got caught doing something they weren't supposed to. But later, when they think you're not looking, there it is again, that stolen glance, that half second too long of a stare, and the way they remember things about you, little things you don't even remember telling them, like how you love your coffee a certain way, or how you once mentioned, offhand, in a conversation they weren't even part of, that you had a favorite childhood song. And suddenly, weeks later, they bring it up like it's common knowledge. It's in the nervous habits, too. The fidgeting, the adjusting of their clothes, the sudden obsession with making sure their hair looks right whenever you're around, and the way their voice changes when they talk to you. Slightly softer, warmer, and then there's the teasing. Not the mean-spirited kind, but the kind that feels playful, like they're testing the waters, seeing how you react, and when you tease back, their whole face lights up like they just won a prize they didn't even know they were competing for. Sometimes it's in the way they find reasons to be around you. They don't need to be where you are, but somehow they always are. Or they're suddenly interested in the same things you are. Coincidence? Maybe, but maybe not. And then the opposite. The push and pull. The moments where they suddenly seem distant. Like they're trying to convince themselves they don't like you. Because let's be real, liking someone can be terrifying. So they pull away. They create space. They pretend they don't care just to see if you'll notice. Just to see if you care. It's not always grand gestures. Sometimes it's in the pauses, in the hesitation before they speak, in the way they look at you when they think no one's watching, in the way their whole body leans in just a little when you talk, and maybe, just maybe, in the way they're waiting for you to notice. Because maybe they don't want to say it first. Maybe they're scared of what happens next. But you see it now, don't you? And now that you do, what are you going to do about it? Maybe the real question isn't, do they like you? Maybe the real question is, why haven't they told you? Because liking someone isn't the hard part. Saying it is, and when someone chooses not to say it, there's always a reason. Maybe they think you're out of their league. Maybe in their head you're standing on some impossible pedestal, shining, untouchable. So they settle for being close enough to feel your warmth, but not close enough to get burned. Or maybe they've been hurt before. Maybe they once said I like you to someone who looked them in the eye and didn't say it back. And ever since, they've kept their feelings locked up like a secret they swore never to tell again. Maybe they're waiting for a sign, for you to give them something. Some small, undeniable proof that if they take that step, you won't walk away. And then there's the possibility no one likes to consider. Maybe you're the one who's been missing the signs. Because what if they have told you, in 1,000 ways that weren't words? What if every glance, every nervous laugh, every tiny excuse to be near you was a confession? And what if you just never listened closely enough to hear it? See, not everyone speaks the same language when it comes to love. Some people say it with words. Some people say it with actions. And some people say it by saying nothing at all. By just being there. Day after day, hoping you'll figure it out. But there's a catch. Silence is a dangerous language. Because while they're sitting there, waiting for you to understand, what if you're waiting too? What if you're both trapped in the same unspoken feeling, too scared to say it? Too scared to lose something that already feels so fragile? And that's the thing about unspoken feelings. They don't last forever. Eventually, one of two things happens. Either they fade or they explode. And neither of those options is as romantic as it sounds. So what do? Do you wait? Do you keep playing this game of stolen glances and almost confessions? Do you let the moment pass and risk waking up one day to find that they've moved on? Not because they stopped liking you, but because they got tired of waiting? Or do you say something first? Because here's a thought. Maybe they're just as unsure as you are. Maybe they lie awake at night wondering the same thing you do. Do they like me back? What if I ruin everything? And maybe they're hoping that one day you'll be the one who's brave enough to break the silence. And what if they're not even aware of their own feelings yet? Because sometimes liking someone sneaks up on you. It doesn't always come with fireworks or grand epiphanies. Sometimes it's quiet. It starts as a passing thought, a curiosity, a tiny warmth that lingers a little too long. Then one day, they catch themselves thinking about you at random moments, when they hear a song, when they see something funny, when they're alone and their mind is free to wander. And that's when it hits them. Why do I think about this person so much? And suddenly everything changes. They become hyper-aware of your presence. They notice things they never noticed before. The way you laugh, the way you talk with your hands, the way your eyes light up when you talk about something you love. And maybe that realization terrifies them. Because once they know, they can't unknow. And once they see, they can't unsee. But what if there's another possibility? What if they do know? And they've already made peace with the fact that they will never, ever say it out loud? Not because they don't want to, but because they've already convinced themselves that the story can't end the way they want it to. Maybe they've told themselves that you only see them as a friend. Maybe they think you're interested in someone else. Or maybe deep down, they believe they are not enough, not interesting enough, not good-looking enough, not worthy enough. So they keep their feelings buried. Not because they don't exist, but because they don't think they stand a chance. And that's the cruel irony of it all. Because while they sit there, biting their tongue, holding it all in, you might be doing the exact same thing. Two people, two hearts, both wanting to speak but neither willing to take the risk. And maybe you're both waiting for a moment. Some cinematic, once-in-a-lifetime moment where the truth will magically reveal itself. Where the right song plays in the background, where the lighting is just perfect. Where somehow, without words, you'll just know. But life isn't a movie. There's no background score, no slow-motion montage, no perfectly timed confession in the rain. There's only now, this moment, this breath, this chance that could slip through your fingers if you wait too long. So what happens next? Do you keep playing this endless guessing game, dissecting every look, every text, every little interaction for clues? Or do you do something different? Because if you really think about it, what's the worst that could happen? They don't feel the same? Sure, that's a risk, a painful one. But at least you'll know. At least you won't spend your life haunted by what-ifs. But what if they do feel the same? What if all this time, they were just waiting for you to say something first? Or maybe this isn't even about them. This is about you. Because let's be honest, why do you need to know so badly? Why are you scanning their every move, analyzing their every word, holding on to every tiny gesture like it's a puzzle piece that will finally give you the answer? What if the real reason you're searching for signs isn't because you want to know if they like you, but because you're too afraid to admit that you like them? Think about it. If you were completely neutral, if their feelings didn't matter to you, would you even be paying this much attention? Would you be holding your breath every time they look at you, feeling that tiny spike of adrenaline when they stand just a little too close, when their hand almost brushes against yours? Maybe this whole time it hasn't been about whether they like you. Maybe it's been about whether you are ready to admit that you like them. And if that's the case, what happens now? Because let's say for a moment that you do like them, that deep down you've already made up your mind, but you're waiting for proof, waiting for certainty, waiting for them to make the first move so you don't have to. But what if they're doing the same thing? What if this whole situation, every awkward silence, every hesitant glance, every almost confession, is just two people stuck in a loop, waiting for a moment that will never come unless someone breaks the cycle? Sometimes, no matter how many signs you think you see, you will never really know how someone feels unless they say it. And sometimes, they never will. Some people will carry their feelings for you like a secret they plan to take to the grave, not because they don't want you, but because they're convinced they can't have you. Some people will love you silently, from a distance, watching as life pulls you further and further away, until one day they become just a memory. Someone you once knew, someone you once wondered about, someone who once looked at you like you were the only thing that mattered, but never said a word. And you will move on, and so will they. And years from now, you'll stumble across an old photo or hear a song that reminds you of them. And you'll think back to this moment, to the time when everything was uncertain, when every interaction was filled with hidden meaning, when you spent days and nights wondering what was really going on inside their head. And maybe, just maybe, you'll wonder what would have happened if you had been brave enough to ask. But by then it won't matter, because time doesn't wait. Feelings don't last forever. And eventually, the things that were almost something fade into nothing at all. So the real question isn't, do they like me? The real question is, what am I going to do about it? Before it's too late? Thanks for your time. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give it a thumbs up. Also, feel free to share your thoughts or any questions you have in the comments below.